Hey there, it's Olivia Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I'm here to talk you through my November TBR. So we all know how I'm not that dedicated to my TBR, so I just want to let you know that I'm going to be showing you quite a few books, but these are options. Some of them I will definitely be getting to and I'll tell you which ones those are, but other ones are just ones that I would hopefully like to maybe possibly get to. So let's get right down to the books. The first book I have to show you was literally just added to my TBR before I started making this video because my sister texted me and said that she'd picked up her copy of the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin and would you like to read it at the same time together? And of course I said yes. We did try to read another book at the same time, which was Slay by Brittany Morris, but she ended up DNFing that one, so I wanted to try and read something else with her, and also the 5th season is one that I want to get to by the end of the year, so maybe I can buddy read this one with her this month. Believathon is happening this month and it's hosted by Gavin from How to Train Your Gavin, and I'm going to do my best to read some books. There's no way that I'm going to be able to fit all of the prompts just because I've got uni reads and stuff like that, but I've chosen 4 books to read for it, and I've got a book that I need to read this month that I think can also fit a prompt, but I don't know which prompt that one's going to fit yet. The prompt of beautiful cover, so I can unlock the handprint. I'm going to be reading Creature Keeper by Damaris Young, and I talk about this book a lot more in my Tales by Mail unboxing because I got this one in that box, but it's set in the Diosphere estate, and when our main character takes a job there, she realizes that there are a lot more secrets and hidden things to be discovered within the house with all of these magical creatures, and that's what this one is about. For a 2020 publication which will unlock the shadow, I'm going to be reading The Midnight Gardens by Ross Montgomery, and this is the other book that was in the Tales by Mail unboxing, so you can also check that out for more information. But this one is set in this mythological fantasy world, but also historical fiction. Blitz-bombed London, and we have our main character who's on a rescue mission to go and save his sister, and he travels with these guardians, but he's also being chased at the same time. This is quite a big middle grade, but I am looking forward to reading this and seeing what it can give me. For a new to you author to unpack the backpack, I'm going to be reading Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery, and this is a classic that my mum used to read, and I watched the old TV series with her when I was younger and I have fond memories of that. And I also recently saw a 24-hour reading challenge where Emma from Drinking by My Shelf was reading all of these books, and it made me really want to pick it up. So when I went to a secondhand bookshop in one of my Gothtober vlogs, I picked up this book, this copy, and I hope I can read this for Believathon. The last book that's officially on this list is for the villain prompt and to unlock the footprints, and that is Artemis Fowl and the Last Guardian by Eoin Colfer. I will be buddy reading this one with Gaia Athena, and I am so excited because this is the last book in the Artemis Fowl series. I don't really know what I'm going to be doing with my life after November because I won't have Artemis Fowl in it every month anymore, and that just makes me feel so sad because these books have been such a joy. I'm going to spare you the litany that I always do of what the first one is about because you're about to hear that in my wrap up in my next video, but I'm really excited to finish this series and see what the last one is going to bring to the table. So the next book I only just realised could also fit into Believathon, so I'm going to have to see which prompt it can fit, and it's also for my Read It Backwards. I had to take a break from Read It Backwards last month because Gothtober was happening, and I also started uni and wasn't feeling too prepared for the onslaught of work that it was, but I now want to read and get back into my Read It Backwards, so I'll be reading Percy Jackson and the Last Olympian by Riordan, and this is the last book in the Percy Jackson series. So the first book goes on about Percy, who finds out that he is actually a demigod and he gets sent to Camp Half-Blood where there are other demigods, and a prophecy happens and an adventure happens and it goes from there. But of course for Read It Backwards we start with the last book in the series. I remember very little about this series other than loving it, and it's going to be very interesting to start from the end of a series that I don't actually remember that much about, because with Twilight I did retain quite a bit of knowledge before getting into the Read It Backwards. So the next 2 books I have to talk about are books by Black authors. I have a vlog idea which requires 3 books, but one of them isn't here yet, so I'll just show you the 2 that I do want to read for the vlog. The first one is Cannibal by Safiya Sinclair. This was kindly sent my way by Bookbreak UK, and this is a poetry collection by a Jamaican poet, and literally that's all I needed to know to want to read it. It has a lot to do with race and blackness, but also to do with, you know, invoking some of the classics like Shakespeare, and well, that just sounded right up my alley, so I really would like to read this one. And then the other one one has been on many TBRs before, okay, but I do need to get to it, and that is The Deep Blue Between by Ayesha, Harruna, Attah. And I don't, I've already told you about this one so much without having read it before, but it follows these two sisters. One of them lives her life in Africa and the other one lives her life in Latin America, and they have these shared dreams of bodies of water that keeps them connected, and it's about each of their lives and what happens to each of them. So I'm hoping to be able to read these two books because I do have a week off from classes in the middle of November, not in the middle of November, in the second week of November, and I'm hoping to take the week off to read these two books. Next thing I want to show you is buddy reads. I've already shown you one of them, which is with Athena, but I've got 3 other buddy reads planned here. So the first one is The Gilded Ones by Namina, Forna. I've already started this and I'm going to be buddy reading it with Lena from Lena Reads, and yeah, this is the first book in a fantasy series. I don't know too much about it, but I am looking forward to getting a bit further in because I'm only within the first chapter. After that, I'm going to be buddy reading 2 of the Illumicrate books, which is really good because, I get books from Illumicrate every month and I would like to actually read them. So the first one I'll be buddy reading is The Space Between Worlds by Micaiah Johnson, and this one I'm going to be buddy reading with Raquel Baggins on Instagram. She is currently on hiatus, but I think we'll still be buddy reading this anyway, as far as I believe. And then the other Illumicrate one that I'll be buddy reading is 7 Devils, and that is by Elizabeth May and Laura Lamb, and I'll be buddy reading this with Chelsea from Chelsea Zhao. And both of these are very purple pinkish books that I'm realizing, and I quite dig that, and they're pretty sizable, so they'll keep me busy for this month. After that, I've decided to choose one read that doesn't have to do with the readathon, that doesn't have to do with class every month, just one read that is entirely my choice. And for that one, I've chosen The Harpy by Megan Hunter. This one is also sent to me by Bookbreak UK, and it's about this woman who finds out that her husband is cheating on her and decides to get revenge. She's allowed 3 different revenges, and it's about how she chooses to do that, and it's supposed to be strange adult fiction, which has totally been my jam lately. Up next, we've got the books that I will definitely be reading this month because they are books that I have to read for class, so they're definitely going to get done. The first one is one that I wanted to read by the end of the year any which way, and that is Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. And you know what? This is winner of the Booker Prize. She sadly had to share this win, but I have heard very, very, very good things about this book, and I need to read it by Tuesday, so I'll definitely be getting into this as soon as I finish filming today. Then I've got 3 books for my US literature class, and the first one that I'm going to be reading is Passing by Nella Larsen. This is a classic that is about a woman who is white passing and what she gets up to and what she does with that. As far as I know, I don't know too much, but I've heard such good things about it that I can't wait to read this one. And then the other 2 books that I'll be reading for this class are ones that I truly know absolutely nothing about, so I'll tell you about them in my wrap up once I've read them. And the first one is As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner, and then the other one is Farewell My Lovely by Raymond Chandler. So 2 books that I need to read that I really don't know anything about them. Then last but not least, for what's officially on my TBR is Shakespeare, because I've only got 3 more Shakespeare plays to read before I finish reading the collected works of Shakespeare. I know it's very hard for me to believe that I've read every single piece of work that's in this book. Almost. So I've got 3 more plays. One of them is All's Well That Ends Well, and one of them is The Merry Wives of Windsor, which I'm actually saving to be my last one. And there's one more. The other one is As You Like It. There are more than 3 Sundays in November, so I'll definitely be finishing the collected works of Shakespeare in November. And then I don't know what I'm gonna do with my life again. Like, I'm finishing Artemis Fowl and all of the Shakespeare in 1 month. What am I going to read after that? The last things are just titles that I'm going to read out, so I'm a bit behind on my dissertation reading, and I was assigned some reading for my novel in verse. So the assigned reading that I'm going to be reading is The Autobiography of My Mother by Jamaica Kincaid, and it's about her mother and her as a daughter thinking and reflecting on her mother's life, which is something that directly relates to my novel in verse because it has a huge focus on a mother and daughter relationship. And then other than that, I'm very behind on reading for my dissertation, so I do need to get on it and these are the 5 books that I've got left. So I'll just read you the titles rather than talk about each one individually, because I'm not sure which ones I'll be getting to in November, but I do need to get to a significant number of these. One of them is Wild Seed by Octavia Butler, then we have the Gilded Stories by Jewel Gomez, The Chaos by Naylor Hopkins, Afrofuturism 2.0, which is edited by Anderson and Jones, and then we've also got Dark Matter, which is an anthology of Afrofuturism and science fiction works. And then last but not least, I thought it would just be beneficial to do a shout out for my current reads. I don't actually believe any of these current reads are going to be finished in November, but I'll still be reading them gradually throughout November, and I'm hoping that they'll get finished in December actually. So the first one is Northwest by Zadie Smith. This is a buddy read I'm doing with Abby Mac Reads on Instagram, and we have been reading this for quite a long time, but we are going very slowly and at our very own pace, which I quite like. The fact that we're doing a buddy read that has absolutely no pressure at all, and I'm enjoying this book, but I've got a lot of thoughts on this book because it's quite abstract and very difficult to read. We've also got Anna Karenina by Leo Tolstoy. I've buddy reading this with Hannah Reads Way Too Much on Instagram again, and we started this one, had to pause because both of our schedules got very busy, but we are picking it back up again this week, and we'll be continuing to read it part by part per week. I believe that's what our schedule is looking like. I have picked up once again It by Stephen King, and I was not liking this one. I'm halfway through, but I'm determined to finish this. I don't want to DNF it. So the way that I'm going to be reading this is that I've switched from reading it physically to reading it via audiobook, and I'm reading it on Script, which I recently discovered and absolutely loved, because you can get an unlimited number of audiobooks throughout a month rather than only having a few credits like Audible gives you. So if you are thinking about trying out Script and you would like 60 days free, I've got a link down below that you can use, and you get 60 days free and I get a few days free as well because you use my link. So that's how I'm going to be finishing it. I don't think I'll finish it because I've still got 24 hours left on the audiobook, but that's what I'll be listening to. And then last but not least, we have For Real by Lexis Hall, which I have been reading over the course of quite a few months now. It's a reread. It's one of my favourite books ever. It's a great new adult romance, and I just read it when I'm in the mood to read it. And there we have it. That is my huge but optional November TBR. Please let me know in the comment section down below, have you read any of these books? What are you going to be reading in the month of November? Please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!